Prince of precious stones, there once was a king who had no sons. One too many. Once was a king who had no sons. He went too many doctors. Oh, he went to many doctors to prevent his kingdom from leaving his family. But to no avail, so he decreed on the Jews to pray for him to have sons. The Jews searched and sought for a tzaddik who would pray effectively for the king to have sons. Eventually, they found a hidden tzaddik. They asked him to pray that the king have sons, but he answered that he does not know how. That he does not know how. Or they told the king then sent for him with an order, and he was brought before the king. The king began speaking to him nicely. You know very well that the Jews are in my hands, to do with them as I wish. Therefore I ask you nicely to pray that I have sons. The tzaddik promised the king that within a year he would have offspring. The tzaddik went home, and the queen eventually gave birth to a daughter. His daughter was extremely beautiful. When she was 4 years old, she already knew all the wisdoms and could play musical instruments. She also knew how to speak all the languages. Kings from all countries came to see her, and there was great rejoicing for the king. But the king still wanted very much to have his son, so that his kingdom would not leave his paternal line. So again, he decreed that the Jews should pray for him. While the son went again, they searched and sought for this tzaddik. They could not find him, since he had already died. So they continued searching nach until they found another hidden tzaddik. They told him that he should pray that the king have a son, and he answered that he does not know how. They told the king, and the king did as above, telling him, you know very well, etc. But the sage, that is this tzaddik, said to the king, will you do as I say? Certainly, said the king. I need that you bring all the different types of precious stones. Each precious stone possesses a unique quality. All kings possess a book in which is written all the different types of precious stones. I will give half of my kingdom in order to have a son, said the king. So the king had all the different types of precious stones brought to him. The sage took them and pulverized them and poured them into a cup of wine. He gave half the cup to the king to drink and the other half to the queen. He told them that they would have a son who would be made completely of precious stones. And he will possess all of the qualities of all the precious stones. The tzaddik then went home. Eventually the queen bore a son. And the king rejoiced very greatly, though the son was not made of precious stones. When he was 4 years old, nanach, meuman, he was extremely handsome and wise in all the wisdoms, and knew how to speak all the languages. Kings came from afar to see him. Now the princess saw that she was not getting that much attention anymore, so she became jealous of the boy. Her only consolation was that the tzaddik had said that he would be completely of precious stones, so she was happy that he was not. Once, though, the prince was chopping wood, and he nicked his finger. Princess went to bandage his finger, and she saw a precious stone there, and her jealousy was intensely roused. The princess feigned. The princess feigned to be ill. Princess feigned to be ill. Doctors came to see her, but were unable to heal her. So sorcerers were called. The princess confided to one of the sorcerers that she was only feigning illness, and asked him if he could cast a spell on someone to become a leper. Surely, the sorcerer answered. So the princess asked him, but what if he gets another sorcerer to neutralize the spell, so that he will be healed? If the object used to cast the spell is cast into the water, it cannot be neutralized any longer. Answered the sorcerer. So this was done to the prince, and the object used to cast the spell was cast into the water. The prince became very leprous. He had wounds on his nose, on his face, and all over his body. The king brought doctors and sorcerers, but to no avail. The king then decreed upon the Jews to pray. They sought out the above tzaddik and brought him to the king. Now this tzaddik consistently prayed to God regarding this prince, since he had promised that the prince would be made completely of precious stones, and he was not. He argued with God. Did I do this for my own honor? I did it only for your honor. Now my promise has not been fulfilled. The tzaddik came before the king. He too prayed, but to no avail. Then he was informed that it was sorcery. Now the tzaddik was more powerful than all of the sorcerers. The tzaddik then told the king that since it was sorcery, and the object was cast into the water, the only way to heal the prince is to cast the sorcerer who cast the spell into the water. I hereby hand over to you all the sorcerers to be cast into the water, so that my son will be healed. Said the king. Upon this, the princess became worried, so she ran to the water to pull out the object. Then she knew where it was, but in the process she fell in. A great tumult erupted over the princesses falling into the water. The tzaddik then came forward and said that the prince would be healed. Indeed, he was healed, and the leprosy dried up, and all of his skin peeled off. Now everyone saw that he was indeed completely made of precious stones and possessed all the qualities of all the precious stones, as the tzaddik has said. And all the qualities made of precious stones. He was indeed completely made of precious stones and possessed all the qualities of all the precious stones, as the tzaddik had said. Nanach, nachman, meuman. Nanach, nachman, nachman, meuman. Nach, nachman.